guys, do you want a new set of armor that's affordable, arrives super fast from Europe, and also supports Ukrainian armorers at the same time? Then use code MOLLY at medievalextreme.com for free express shipping.
Because it is a thing that a lot of high-level teams do that is very effective, all right? And I call it trading up in positioning, all right? All I'm saying here is, can I take, like, let's say Joseph's on my team, or Joseph's against me, and he's up with Dan, all right? This is theoretically an even matchup, right? If I can just walk up, grab this, technically Dan can just leave, and we have traded up in positioning. We took a 1v1 that was even, replaced it with a 1v1 that we had advantage in, and now Dan is free to go do it again. And if we could just run around in a circle, theoretically, just constantly getting better position for every single one of our fights, we're winning, right?
You're gonna drown people.
Yes. So I'm not going to do a ton of that today. I'm going to work more on how do two people get one person down. But this is a really important concept that I think is important to learn when it comes to team strategy. 2v1 does not need to happen until the person is down. We can 2v1 for moments just to leave the 1v1 in a better position than they were when we got there. That is a successful 2v1, all right? This is basic, obvious, but like you don't think about it, all right? So when you're playing with team strategy, keep this in mind. It's super important, right? If I can come up and get a head rip on someone, get their head down, and the person is just barely holding on, what is more useful? Dan turning around and kicking the dude and chopping the dude and seeing if he can pain compliance him, taking maybe 5 to 10 seconds to make sure that finishes off so we can move on? Or is it better for Dan to get to the next fight in 2 seconds and start making an impact there, and it take 5 extra seconds for me to finish my guy? And I'm not gonna actually tell you which one's the right answer, because there's not a right answer. It depends, right? What effect can I have on this? If I've got 3 of my guys up, we got a 2-on-1 right here, and I look over here, and all 3 of my guys have the other dude like in a guillotine grinding the shit out of him on the fence, I'm like, oh, beat the shit out of this dude then, right? Doesn't really matter. Let's just start fucking things up and see what goes down first, right? But if I got a couple even fights here and a fight that we're about to finish, maybe it's a smarter idea to go make one of those even fights an uneven fight. And then we don't have 2 even fights and 1 uneven fight. We have 2 uneven fights and 1 even fight, right? Those numbers are better. But what if I just kick this dude's leg out and it instantly finishes this fight, and then I can go? It only takes me an extra second to finish this one, and then we have 2, right? I should probably kick that dude's leg out. We get real complicated here, but I just want you to conceptually realize that there are more things to do with the 2v1 than just get a person down, right? It's not about the person that falls so much as like, what is the overall best thing I can do, right? So trading up and positioning and moving on is often a very good thing to have in your skill set and a good understanding to have within your team, all right? Yes?
When I used to watch videos, if you watch the Russians, they do this by far better than anybody else.
Yeah, they're the best in the world at it. Right? They're so quick.
I didn't understand why they did it so much, because it didn't make sense for a long time. And now that we're kind of playing smarter, better teamwork and things like that, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand why they move so much and why they fluidly flow between these 2-on-1 fights. And this is like very powerful.
But you don't get there without field awareness, without the ability to actually take stock, to not hyper-focus on your own little world. So there's other parts that you have to, if you're at a 10, mentally and physically, when you're in a fight, you'll never have these. You'll never see any of this. You're just going to go to whatever's right in front of you.
So, and also there's things like a fuck ton of training, because guess what? You know how you know by looking at something who's in the better position and who might be dangerous and who's like, oh, he may go down any second now, versus, oh, that dude looks like he's gonna grind for a while, but we need to get to him soon. It's from being in the fucking position 1,000 times and putting people in the position 1,000 times, and then you're like, oh, I'd go down pretty quick. I gotta help this guy. Like, or I'm like, ah, no, he's fine. We'll get back to him, right? Like, some of this is just a ton of training, right? The more training you do, the easier it is to assess a one-on-one and decide what is actually occurring there, right? And this goes into 2v1s, same thing, training. The more you know the 1v1, the more you understand how you can affect the 2v1, right? So, let's go into 2v1 now. So, the first thing was trading up and positioning. We're not gonna practice it, know it, all right? Second thing, once we have decided that we are both going to attack them, the most basic concept is high-low, all right? I want one person to attack high, and I want one person to attack low. Now there's gonna be some trading, this thing's gonna get muddied, but if at any time both of us are working high, the chances are very good that we are working against each other. And the same thing, if both of us are working low, the chances are very good we're working against each other. Not always, not 100% of the time, but it's a very good concept to know that if someone's got a person's head, probably the first thing you should look at is taking out legs, right? Because I'm going to break down this while they're trying to fight this, and he's going to break down that while I'm breaking down this, right? It just works together very well, all right? The second big one that we like is passing back and forth, or like seesawing, all right? And the idea behind this is, generally speaking, if I try to pull you this way, you have to resist that way. If I can release and the other person can pull you that way really quick, you're already going into his pull. Now, you may see it coming and you stop this way, and then we push back to the other way, and we push back to the other way. And the more we can constantly make you switch which side is attacking where, often each time you get a little deeper, and you get a little deeper, and you get a little deeper. So this idea of seesawing back and forth with attacks until they make a mistake big enough that you can capitalize on. And then the last big one I preach is what I call passing control. And this is about, once you get a control position, there are times when it is better, someone else can get a better control position off of the control position you have, and passing it to them is a good thing. I can give you like a really basic example is if, let's say, we'll say he starts by pulling head and he slips it and goes forward, right? Boom, I hit this now, right? If he then tries to duck out center, I may try to pass to this control. This is a much more dominant form of control than the previous one was, right? So I don't necessarily want to hold on to his head because I got it down, because this is not actually a good finishing position. It's a good position to possibly work for a finish from, but that's different than being a good finishing position. He's not fucked, he's just like in a bad position. As I pass this guy then into a guillotine, he's getting closer to fucked, all right? This starts to really suck, especially if he's got a good tight guillotine, and now we can really start controlling, attacking base, doing all sorts of stuff like that. So that's the last big one, is passing, which is I want to take my control sometimes and gift it to my partner in a way that he can further that control. All right? So these all get kind of deep, but those are the three, once I'm in it, those are the three biggest ones. All right? We're going to seesaw him back and forth to begin breaking his posture a lot of times. All right? But I already forgot what one of them was. We're going to pass control, and then what was the third one? I'm talking too much.
High-low.
High-low, thank you. That's the first one, high-low. So, yeah, high-low, switch back and forth between you and your partner. If you can't get them with your initial thing, trade it back and forth. And then as you get control, don't always look to hoard that control. It is often better to take your control and then gift it to another person in a better control position. All right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
High-low.
So,
All right, so we have about 20 minutes. This is supposed to be lunch. We got about 20 minutes left. Let's do some more of this drill, and let's rotate around a little bit. And let's get a little bit more work for the 2 trying to take down the 1, all right? I want you to think while you're doing it, if one person has high, attack the legs. If it's not working, trade. Try to push back so that the other person can attack high and the other person attacks the legs. Move this back and forth to see what happens, all right? If you then start to get control, is it good enough for a takedown? And if not, can I gift it to my partner in a better spot than I'm in? Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? So just keep these ideas in mind and let's do some more 2-on-1. We'll have about 15 minutes of it and then we're gonna get lunch. Sound good? 3, 2, 1.
Do you like the look of our team's custom activewear? Are you in need of some of your own for martial arts and fitness training? Then look no further than xmartial.com. Stand out from the crowd with your own badass design. X Martial offer high quality rash guards, spats, training shorts and more, perfect for wearing underneath your sword fighting protective gear. Featuring highly durable and flexible materials, offering full range of motion while keeping form-fitting and highlighting your well-earned gains. There are dozens of amazing designs already on offer on their website. Check them out for yourself using the link in the description and use our code STEELWOLF for 10% off your next order at xmartial.com.